Hey, Bruce. When you look at this roster, when you look at these guys in practice, are you surprised that you're not better than 7-5 right now?
Yes and no. I think defensively, I would hope we've had our chances to be better. Offensively, it was going to be a work in progress all season. I thought our kicking game has been outstanding for us, which was a problem in the first game only. And I've seen us get better throughout the season, and we just got to win the next one and stay in this playoff hunt. And everybody tried to hand us the Lombardi Trophy in August. You just don't throw guys out there with names. You got to practice. You got to learn to get in sync with each other. That takes time.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers from the 48-yard line. Second down, 13. Brady lobs one downfield. Caught ball by Gronkowski inside the 20 to the 15-10. Gronkowski to the 5 to the 4-yard line. Holy guacamole.
Third down, 18. Dropping Gannon, looking Gannon. Throws up the middle. It's intercepted at the 40. Derek Brooks 30. Brooks to the 25, 20. Derek Brooks all the way. There it is. The dagger's in. We're going to win the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, baby! This is the Big Nasty. Yeah, Big Nasty, Hall of Fame Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, baby.
This is Mike Allstott, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you're listening to the Cannon Fire Podcast.
Cannon Fire Podcast, brother. You ain't listening, and you're missing out. Woo!
3 points is all that separated Tampa Bay and Kansas City at the end of this one. The final score from Tampa, 27-24. The Chiefs improve their record to 10-1, and the Buccaneers fall to 7-5 on the campaign. Welcome back to a brand new edition of the Cannon Fire Podcast. Back at you today for episode 150. And, a weird game. A lot of lows, some highs. A game that I don't feel like this team deserved to win. They were close to winning quite a few times. But before we break all of it down, before we talk about the bad game plan, before we talk about how this team felt doomed from the start, I'd like to get the introductions out of the way. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, as always, Rhett Matthew, joined alongside me, my good buddy and co-host, the Philly Bucs fan, Mr. Evan Wanish. Evan, I am going to give you the floor. You've been talking about this for weeks, and we knew leading up to this game that, Bucs were probably going to lose. After that first half, I definitely think it was going to... I didn't think it was going to end up as competitive as it was down the stretch. But I just want you to take a minute. Everybody take a deep breath. And let's go over this seeding situation. The Buccaneers still need some help from some other teams if they want to secure a good playoff spot. But it's 7-5. The ship is not entirely sinking just yet. Evan, I guess I should ask, how are you doing, actually, before you kind of calm everybody down?
Doing pretty good. I wasn't sure if I was going to get that question or not. I was like, am I just going to get right into this, or how's it going to go? But I'm doing good.
That's good. All right, so let's get down to business.
All right, so actually, I'll save that for the actual game thing that I'm going to say there. But basically, they're 7-5, just like you said, and 2 straight losses is obviously not what you want, right? This is
first time this season.
They don't want to lose games, okay? That's not what I'm trying to say here. It's not okay to lose games. I'm just saying that some games are just more important than others. That's basically what I'm trying to say here. And the fact is, this Chiefs game just wasn't that important in terms of playoff seeding. Obviously, you want to win. Like, you want to beat the defending champs in your house on national TV. Like you want to win. You want to win that football game. But it's not the end of the world. It's just because. So they're sitting at 7-5, and the Cardinals, who were 6-4 and had the 7 seed. So the playoff seedings went like this. The 3 wild cards were 5 Seattle, 6 Tampa, and 7 Arizona. Seattle's sitting at 7-3 right now. They play tomorrow night. We're recording this Sunday after the game. They play Monday night. and then Tampa was sitting at 7-3 as well, and then 7-4, and then Arizona was sitting at 6-4. So Arizona loses to New England on a last-second field goal, so they go to 6-5. And the Bucs, even with a loss, are still the 6th seed in the NFC. So they didn't change at all with a loss. Now, what would hurt them in the long run is that the Rams lost today. So if the Bucs would have won this game, they would be 8-4, and they would have leapfrogged the Rams, so they would have been back in that 5 spot. That's the biggest thing. But just because they lost 2 games, the sky is not falling. And I got a tweet here that, somebody said to me, and I was like, so they said, I basically said that the sky isn't falling, and it said it ain't falling, but it is for sure raining. And I said light drizzle at the most. Bucs are 7-5. They didn't lose any ground in their current playoff seedings, and they have 4 games coming up against teams they are better than. I obviously understand that they have to go out and actually play those games. It's not guaranteed W's. But they're better than those teams, and that's something they've done all year. They've beaten the teams they're supposed to beat. Outside of Chicago is the only one that they have not beaten, that they should have beaten, that they're better than. Okay, the Chiefs are better than them. The Saints are better than them. So that's 3 of their losses right there. And the Rams, I know the Rams lost, but the Rams are probably, right now, they're probably a better football team. So the Bucs all year have beaten teams that they're better than. And you sprinkle that in with the, Packers, maybe the Packers are better than, maybe. But that's why it's not the end of the world. They're still likely to make the playoffs. So let's say they lose one of these games, one of these 4 games. That's 3-1, that's 10-6. They make the playoffs. Let's say they even go 2-2. That's 9-7, and you're likely to make the playoffs. The 2 teams, actually 3 teams now, that are pretty much right on your tail are Chicago, Chicago's a little bit scarier because they beat you, so they have the head-to-head tiebreaker. But they're sitting at 5-5, and they still play Green Bay twice. I don't know if I like Chicago's chances. Minnesota, who was 4-6, now they're 5-6 after they beat Carolina the last second. They're 5-6. I said that earlier. I said that this Chiefs game ain't that important. I said the Vikings game is much more important. Obviously, to the national media, Bucs versus Chiefs, Mahomes versus Brady, it's important. The Vikings game is much more important in terms of playoffs and playoff implications for this Bucs team. So the Vikings are 5-6, and next they have the Jaguars. They're probably going to beat the Jaguars. So they're going to be coming into Tampa at 6-6. The Bucs lose that game, and the Vikings go to 7-6. Not only do the Vikings have the same record, they also now have the head-to-head tiebreaker, and the Vikings just jump them. So that's a game that the Bucs have to have. They have to win that game. And the other team, the 49ers, they're 5-6, but they have I believe they have the Rams again. They have the Cardinals, so they got some games that they'll probably lose. They still have all those injuries. I don't really think the 49ers are much of a threat. And then you have like the Lions, and after that's done. But those 3 teams are the main ones. Like I said, worried about Chicago because they're the team that beat you, so they had the head-to-head tiebreaker. But at the same time, even to go 10-6, let's say you go 3-1 and they go 10-6, Chicago would have to go 5-1 down the stretch. I don't think Chicago is going 5-1 down the stretch. Minnesota, though, that's an important game.
Absolutely.
That really is. Like I said, they have Jacksonville next week, which if the Vikings would have lost today, I would have been like, okay, like it's really not that as important, right? But they won, so I still think it's important. So they have Jacksonville. And then they play, obviously, Tampa. But then they also have Chicago's divisional game, New Orleans, and Detroit. So you're probably looking at maybe a loss versus New Orleans, maybe versus Chicago. But I think that game, Vikings-Tampa, in Tampa, it's a big game. And I think it's bigger than this one right now that we just watched. I think it really is. The Bucs have to win that one because not only if you lose that one, that's 3 straight losses. That means another team has jumped you now. And that's another NFC loss. That's something you can't really handle. So got to win that game, and that one is much more important. But right now, relax. Like, I understand the frustration after losing 2 games by a combined 6 points against 2 pretty good teams, both at home on a national stage, by the same exact score. I get the frustration. It's just this team is going to make the playoffs. And I understand that people say, well, making the playoffs isn't the goal. The goal is the Super Bowl. You're right. The goal is definitely the Super Bowl.
You said it here not that long ago. You gotta crawl before you can walk.
Yeah.
You gotta walk before you can run.
Exactly.
And one more thing that we have failed to mention up to this point as well about what this means going forward is that the Buccaneers are going into a bye week. They have played 12 straight weeks of football. And I'll tell you, the first half, they looked like a team that had played 12 straight weeks of football. So a much-needed bye week coming up for Tampa Bay. And then that very important four-game stretch that we had kind of covered. Really quickly, before we go any further into this show, I just want to remind everybody that we are sponsored by betonline.ag. From game spreads and totals to team, player, and coaching props, BetOnline gives you more options to wager than any other place online. And of course, they've always got the online casino, which never, ever closes. So make sure you head to betonline.ag today. Take advantage of all the great sign-up bonuses. Once again, BetOnline, your online sportsbook expert. I might get in a little bit of trouble for that one because we were technically supposed to read it in the first 5 minutes of the show, but it is what it is. We did that earlier this week, so they should be fine with it. But you brought up the possibility, and at this rate, I think the most likely possibility, hate to say it that way, but you brought up this team finishing 10-6 and going into the playoffs. Yeah, 10-6 gets you the job done, but with this team, and I also know that we just told everybody to calm the hell down, but at 10-6, it gets the job done for the first time in 13 years. But with this team, with everything that went into this season, it definitely just feels incredibly underwhelming.
Well, I mean, we both picked them to go 11-5, so I think it's the way that they've. I guess they've lost these games.
Well, yeah, it's the way that they've gotten there. I mean, there are a couple of game-changing calls from being, 2 seeds higher.
Yeah. I mean, there's frustrating times. To me, the Rams game is just more frustrating than the Chiefs one, just because the Chiefs are just so much better than the Bucs. And the Rams, I think, are closer to the Bucs level. And then that's also an NFC matchup. So, but then obviously the Chicago game should have never lost that game.
Yeah.
There's been, obviously getting blown out by New Orleans. Obviously you don't want to do that, but having a close game, beating the Giants, but it being close, that's the type of things I think have just got people sort of underwhelmed a little bit. But I mean, I think everybody knew, or at least should have known, that it was going to be an uphill battle this year, just with the circumstances, and that they did have talent, but it was about putting it together, and they've put it together enough to get to 7-5 right now, 2 games over 500 on November 29th, for the first time in a long time. So, they've put it together. Now they got to finish it up, and like you said, they do have this bye week, and then they got 4 games. So hopefully they can put it together. Like I said, if they just go 2-2, even they're probably making the playoffs, right? It's just, I think it's not going to be easy. Atlanta is playing some pretty good football right now.
Absolutely crushed Vegas today.
Yeah, it's very weird. I don't know, because Atlanta's defense
just the
is still
Raiders,
bad.
Man. I think that's just the type of team they are.
Yeah. And then the Vikings are, they play tough. They still do play tough. So they sort of remind me like the Giants. Like, they're not that good, but they'll play it tough. Yeah. And then Detroit, they're going to be having an interim head coach. So I always say that, and I always think that interim head coaches, the players just play harder for them. So I think that game becomes a little bit tougher. The Bucs are still like the better team out of all 4 of those games. Detroit's the one they absolutely should win. Yeah. Because that's just, if they go 1-3, my bet would be the one wins against Detroit. Just because they're just a mess right now. But yeah, I think it is a little underwhelming. We both predicted them to go 11-5, but we both predicted them to split with the Saints, beat the Rams, which is 2 things that didn't happen. Beat Chicago, another thing that didn't happen. Handle the Giants, another thing that didn't happen. Obviously, they beat the Giants, but didn't handle them really. So I think that's the reason it's sort of more underwhelming. But I think also if you would have told somebody that they were going 10-6 before the season, they'd be okay with it.
Yeah, no, I get it. And that's the clip that, I had chosen from the BA press conference that you heard at the beginning of the show. It's about building chemistry on the offense, and it's been an uphill battle all season. It's going to happen. You can't just put players on a field and expect them to get a championship. There's time and work that goes into it. We've talked about the process before, and, Evan hit the nail on the head as well. But enough stalling. Let's get into the game. Got some stat lines I want to go over, and of course, as always, we're going to kick things off with the quarterback. Tom Brady, 27 for 41, 345 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. You said it last week, Tom Brady doesn't play 2 bad games in a row, and this was not a bad Tom Brady game. Let's talk about those 2 interceptions, because those are definitely what jump out the most on the stat sheet. The first Brady pick, should have thrown it away, but, I know that there's a lot of factors. Pressure is right there. It was in his face. He was jumping in the air as he threw the football. He could not see Scotty Miller, but all he really knew is that he had him one-on-one on the sideline. Defender plays it really well, comes down with the football. Tom's fault, sure. The second one, and I swear that this shit only happens to Tampa Bay. I mean, dude, he chose his well-being here. Because if he hadn't got rid of the ball sooner, I think his career might have been over. Can we agree on that? That blitz was coming in hot, and he had to get rid of it. Well, he gets rid of it, throws it directly at a lineman's helmet, and where else does it go but into the air for 7 seconds so a Kansas City defender can come down with it, set up some blocking lanes, and the rest is history. What did you think of Tom's night?
I thought he was okay. He was better tonight than he was versus LA. He was much better. I thought. He put some strikes on those deep balls. We can stop talking about that as much now. So, the one to Godwin. He was pressuring right in his face. Just threw it up. Godwin made a fantastic catch too. But yeah, that one was awesome. But as far as the 2 picks go, I'll definitely pin the first one on him more than the second one. Should have just thrown the ball away or not thrown it there. You throw it to, if that's a Mike Evans, that's why you throw that type of football. So I think that the second one, like you said, kind of unfortunate, lucky break that just, it ended up, and not only does it, like you said, it not just go down, it pops right up into the air and right into Tyrann Mathieu's arms. It's tough. I'm not really sure. I thought Matthew was going to return it for 6 maybe, but he ended up just sliding. But yeah, I texted you. I was like, man, it also doesn't help that ball floated up in the air for 10 minutes too.
Yeah.
That thing just popped right up, and when it does, most likely the defense is coming down with it. So I'll put the first one on Brady more. The second one I think was just sort of just some bad luck kind of. So the ball placement wasn't great on that second one. He probably just should have threw it in the dirt like something, and just lived to fight another down. But the thing that hurt the most was that both of them were across the 50 and were in scoring position, at least field goal position. That's what hurt the most.
Yeah. Now, while we're talking about Brady, I want to talk about this offense, because that's a heavy narrative coming out of this game. Is we didn't see this offense really get rolling until they adapted the Brady offense, the checkdowns, the quick passes, the things that we saw working against LA. What did you think of that? What did you think of coaching adjustments in this game? Because I think it's safe to say that, coaching kind of failed this team in this game with the game plan that they rolled out. But the adjustments that were made throughout the game were definitely encouraging. But on the offense in particular, you didn't see things rolling until Tom looked more comfortable playing his style of game. What'd you think of that?
It's funny that, when it's more New England style, it's It's better. So it's
Yeah,
almost like
who would have thought the guy with
Yeah.
20 years of playing in that system could possibly go anywhere else and do it well, right?
it's almost like they should have been doing it the whole time. Yeah, there's a hybrid of that offense, and that's I think what you saw in halfway through the second quarter and then the entire second half. I think that's the hybrid of the offense, and I think that's where they have to get to. The hybrid, the mixing of the New England offense and the Bruce Arians offense. I think that's what it is, and it worked. I liked it. I thought that their adjustments were good. It got off to such a slow start. I mean, you got one first down on your first drive, and then you had three straight 3-and-outs, and you can't have 3-and-outs against Patrick Mahomes. You can't really have 3-and-outs, three straight 3-and-outs against really anybody. But when it's a guy like Patrick Mahomes, that just makes it so much more difficult, and it's really unfair to your defense. Obviously, the defense was getting torched. We'll talk about it, but it was unfair to the defense at first. Just keep having to trot out back out there against the best quarterback in the NFL and probably the best offense in the NFL. To me, it was completely unfair. But again, a slow start is what's killing them, and it's something that's really really hurt them recently. It hurt them obviously in that New Orleans game on Sunday night, hurt them in the Rams game, hurt them this game. So it's something that they're going to have to improve if they want to even beat those four teams that they got coming up.
Now, sticking on the topic of coaching decisions, I want to bring up this other guy on the offense, Ronald Jones, 9 carries, 66 yards, 1 reception, 37 yards, and a touchdown. Probably the play of the year aside from the 98-yard touchdown for Rojo.
That was so funny to me. Oh, my God.
But I want to say this. Ronald Jones was on pace for a great game on the ground. They left him out to dry. I understand the situation because it felt like the Bucs were playing down 17 more than they weren't, which I think is a factual statement here. But, we talked about the middle ground with that Brady offense style, but where is the middle ground with giving up on the run game completely and, using it to get this offense rolling? Because as we've said before, this offense works its best when Ronald Jones is having a great day running the football. And over those 9 carries, 66 yards, I don't know what else you could have asked from the guy.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm going to applaud the Bucs here a little bit. I thought they stuck with the run game, really the best I've seen them all year when they've been down multiple scores.
That's fair.
For first half, they had 14 rushing yards total as a team, and then on 2 plays in the second half, they had 14 rushing yards, and then Jones breaks a couple. Fournette had a few nice ones. They were finally running it on 2nd and 3rd and short when they should be. So I'll give credit to them there that. They're running the ball when they should have in the second half, and that they didn't completely abandon it like they very well could have. I mean, you could have looked at this and thought of this as like a New Orleans 2.0 because you're like, man, they're down, it's like 3 scores. They're going to just start throwing the ball, and they're not going to run it at all, and they didn't do that. It was definitely... I think they realized that. I think they should have ran it more just because KC's run defense is not very good. But I think they realized that in order to have success, you're going to have that sort of run game. And I think they gave up on Rojo a little bit too early. I would have liked to see him get a little bit more. But they were passing the ball there. The last 2 drives or so, they had the ball. And I knew that they obviously, and rightfully so, they trust Leonard Fournette more than Ronald Jones. Shady McCoy actually got in the game.
Yeah, right? And wasn't even used.
Well, they were trying to get the Shady McCoy revenge game. So
I guess, man.
He was with the Chiefs last year. It didn't work.
One whole snap, if I remember correctly.
One snap. It was on like 2nd and goal, I think.
Breaks the streak of almost 2 months, but
yeah. Well, I mean, hey, all streaks. Just ask the Undertaker. All streaks are meant to be broken. So, I think that. I like their usage. I just wish they were used a bit more against this particular defense.
Yeah. Now, before we talk about the defense, I want to go over some other guys who had big days on that offense and talk about them. Rob Gronkowski, 6 receptions, 106 yards. The biggest game of Rob's Buccaneers career. But a really, really good job by Gronk tonight. He was making some contested catches. And we saw what we see best from him. Anytime you use 87 in the seam, it's money. Like, I don't know what it is, but you can put Cam right there, and we've seen that it never, ever works. But you can put slow, bumbly, rumbly Rob Gronkowski, and he's going to make something out of nothing. Now, another guy on that offense I wanted to go into a little bit more detail about. It's number 14, Chris Godwin. 8 receptions, 97 yards. I'm just going to say it, and I feel this way. I think if this offense used Chris Godwin, or at least targeted him like he was their number 1 wide receiver, everything would just be so much better. In a perfect world, Chris Godwin is being treated like a number 1 wide receiver, because the facts are he's the guy who steps up when we need it every single week, it feels like. Obviously, he's been injured and missed a couple of games, but when we need 1-4 on a big play, he shows up more than anybody else on that offense.
Yeah, but I like him in that role. I mean, that's his role. I don't, like you're saying, number 1 receiver. To me, I think his role right now is perfect. A guy that just, is going to move the chains, like a Larry Fitzgerald type. A guy that's not going to have the splashy plays, right? Larry Fitzgerald, you don't see the 45-yard touchdowns from Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
He's not gonna have the splashy plays, but what he is gonna do occasionally, obviously you saw tonight on that deep ball, but what he is gonna do is he's gonna move the sticks and he's gonna be reliable. I like Godwin in that role. I think he can catch 100 balls in the slot, just by doing that. He did last year. I mean, obviously he had some more explosive plays, but the Bucs offense was more explosive last year as a whole. So I like Godwin in his role right now, and I think it's See, we say this every time. You like the way the offense is trending, but then they just go out and start the next game the same exact way.
Right.
That got them in the hole. So I like what they did in this game in the second half. I like what I saw outside, obviously, the 2 turnovers. But I like their usage of Godwin right now. I really do.
Yeah, I just think he's a guy on that offense that whenever he is steadily being fed the ball, everything else just seems to run so smoothly. I mean, kind of in the same breath, the whole Ronald Jones running well on the ground. But you know what I'm trying to say. I'm a big fan of Chris Godwin, as is anybody. And I just think he deserves a little bit more credit out there. He's been, somewhat quiet this year. Yeah, he has battled injuries. This bye week gives him a chance to kind of heal up his finger all the way, so he'll be good to go. So will a lot of the other guys on the fence. Wanted to talk about this defense. And we lead it off with the secondary, because I think that was the fastest career game I have ever seen for a wide receiver. 4.5 minutes, and he already had 130 yards. It's Tyreek Hill. Carlton Davis was burnt toast out there, and I think it goes without saying that this was probably the worst game of his career. Not that he had a ton of help, but, I mean, anybody matched one-on-one with Tyreek Hill, he's going to be hard to beat, and he gave this secondary hell. Pat Mahomes sure did have himself a good time out there, didn't he?
Well, what I text you, I was like, Mahomes just must think this is so easy.
For a guy who apparently didn't know how to read off or defenses until last year.
Dude. Well, you all knew we were. Everybody knew. Like, that whole NFL was like, oh, we're done now. And when he said that, I didn't even know how to read a defense until last year. And you were doing that when you didn't know how to read a defense, and oh my God. I mean, it was a field day. It was like they were at practice and they were just throwing the ball around,
playing second team.
Just trying to see. Hey, let me try this for a second. I want to see if this works. But just chucking the ball all over the place, and I was literally thinking, I was like, is this is going to be the entire game? I was like, they're going to have Tyreek Hill. I was like, they're going to have Tyreek Hill run goes at Carlton Davis the whole game, and Mahomes is just going to launch it as far as he can, and Tyreek Hill's going to outrun Davis when the ball's in the air. Like, that's what I thought the whole game was going to be. There was a legit point in this game, and I know I'm pessimistic, but I'm not this pessimistic. There was a point in this game where I thought the Chiefs were going to drop 50. I was like, they are dropping 50 on this team, because there is no answer the Bucs have. The Chiefs were moving the ball at will, and then the Shaq Barrett strip sack game, and that really changed pretty much everything. I mean, it was 17-0, and then the Chiefs scored 10 points after that strip sack. So, big time stop there by Barrett.
Yeah, and talking about the rest of this defense, there were 3 turnovers the Buccaneers defense forced. One of them was kind of a throwaway. Pat obviously knew that he had a free play. The other one was a pretty good heads-up play from Sean Murphy bunting that I don't think Pat Mahomes intended to be intercepted, but that was the Jason Pierre-Paul controversial roughing the passer penalty. What did you make of those turnovers? Well, the one turnover, but a common theme that I saw was just pressure. Like when pressure was able to get there, which I think they did a fairly good job of doing. It's just Pat Mahomes is Pat Mahomes.
Well, there was 3 drives where they didn't touch him, and then like that 4th drive, they finally started to get to him.
Yeah. But what did you make of just the defensive game plan, how they went out there and executed, and all of that good stuff?
Well, I think the game plan definitely hurt that Jamel Dean wasn't out there.
Yeah.
Just the simple fact, Dean is faster than Davis, and Dean would have been on Tyreek Hill. I'm not saying that Dean wouldn't have given up those plays, but you would have had a better shot of not giving up those plays. Carlton Davis ran a 4.58 40. Tyreek Hill ran like a 4.29 or something like that. And Jamel Dean ran like a 4.35. I mean, it's just, it's just simple physics. Just sort of like physical traits. It's just it's simple. And I think that if they had Jamel Dean in this game, that's who they would have lined up there. They didn't, and it showed, especially. I mean, I also thought the safeties, I don't know what their game plan was. Antoine Winfield, Mike Edwards, they got burned for 2 deep balls. Tyreek Hill. Davis just had no help. I don't know if that was the design. If that was the design, that's an awful game plan.
Yeah, you can't play single high safety against an offense like Kansas City. You just can't.
And they did it too much. In the first half, they just did it way too much. And they were trying to blitz too much. I think in the second half, they sort of started to rely on their 4 guys getting there a little bit more.
Which I think we saw more pressure than usual.
Yeah.
If I have to commend them on
from
anything.
just rushing 4,
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever they were just rushing 4, it definitely seemed like. Also, the Chiefs' offensive line was holding the entire game.
Oh, dude, 78 in particular was just beating the hell out of everybody.
Nobody wants to call a darn thing until that one drive where like penalty after penalty after penalty after penalty. It was weird. So Jason Pierre-Paul roughing the passer, which essentially, it would have been a pick of Mahomes at a stat line, which would have been cool because he's only thrown 2 in the year. So it would have been like, oh, you picked off Mahomes, cool. It was essentially a punt. Like that's why even Mahomes' interceptions are smart. Like he knew that like that play, it was 3rd down. He threw it up in the air. It was a punt. Murphy Bunting caught it at the 13-yard line.
It wasn't like they got any more yardage than they would have with a fair catch on a bad punt.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, and then obviously it is. I mean, that's roughing the passer. What I didn't like was it seemed that the ref that was standing right there was not the one who threw the flag. And it seemed like Mahomes was sort of lobbying for it, and then he gets the flag thrown. I didn't like that.
He's the golden boy. At this rate, dude.
No.
Are you telling me that Patrick Mahomes doesn't have enough swing to get a couple of calls every now and again?
Sure, but I don't think he's the golden boy.
Oh, man. I think those days have passed Brady on, and I think Mahomes is the new.
I don't think. Look at that fumble from last week's game versus LA, and you tell me Brady ain't the golden boy, because that thing was a fumble, and they called it not a fumble. So
Tuck rule strikes again.
So I mean, he's just Mahomes is the entire offense is next level. They're doing things on that Kansas City offense that no other offense in the league is doing. And it just looks so easy. They make it look so easy, and it's not. Like, it is not that easy. And I thought the Bucs played hard, especially in the second half. But the first half, you can't get down 17-0. You can't expect to win, against the defending Super Bowl champions, or even if you're against the 4-win football team. You can't expect to win. You get down 17-0 right away, and that's what they did. And this is, I mean, we all knew that when Mahomes got the ball back with 4 minutes left or whatever, after the Bucs got it 27-24, the Bucs weren't getting the ball back.
Yeah,
that wasn't going to happen. So maybe a misuse of timeouts. I think the Bucs should have taken their timeouts a little bit earlier. I mean, not earlier, a little bit later. I think they should have saved them a little bit closer to the 2-minute warning. But nonetheless, it didn't really matter because they got the first down anyway. So
that's actually what I wanted to follow up with as we kind of close things out here. We brought up a couple of coaching decisions tonight. That one seemed the most jarring of the evening was the usage of those 3 timeouts with 4 minutes left on the clock. It just really didn't seem like, I don't know, me personally, I'm not a head coach, but it didn't seem like there was any good reason to use them just yet. Yeah, they should have waited a little bit longer because you still had the 2-minute warning. I don't know if Bruce just forgot about that, but like it definitely seemed premature. And, I get that you want to trust your defense, but in the same breath, it's Pat Mahomes, man. Like it's just, I don't know. What did you make of it? And I guess BA's decision in that moment to not use those timeouts.
Yeah, like I said, I just think he should have. So are you talking right before the half? I think that's what you're talking about. Right?
No. I'm talking about the last series.
Because I know right before I thought they should have. Yeah, they should have just waited later and see if you could have gotten maybe an incomplete pass. And an incomplete pass stops the clock, and you can save your timeout. Timeout to me, actually having the timeout is more valuable than spending the timeout. To me, for your offense to go to work. Once the offense, once they have 0 timeouts. I mean, the Bucs they had 3 timeouts, and they called a timeout on the offense, and I was like, I always like to have my 3 timeouts for as long as I possibly can.
Yeah,
in a football game.
Just in case you're in a super duper crunch time situation, which the Bucs would have been in anyways had they gotten the ball back.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, before the half, I saw a lot of people. They're like, "Oh, why didn't you use your timeouts to get more time for your offense to come back?" Like, listen,
you didn't want Pat Mahomes on the field any longer than he had to be.
Yeah, why would you do that? Like, I don't understand that. And I mean, I'm gonna call you out. I saw you on Twitter saying it. You were sort of questioning it too, of why you wouldn't use your timeouts. They had 3. Yeah, before the half. I could pull up the tweet right now.
Oh, no. You're right. My bad.
Okay. I was about to say.
It was a heat of the moment thing. I get a little emotional, and that's why we like to record a little bit after the games.
Yeah, I mean, just take a look at Rhett's, Twitter thing. I
get a lot more vulgar on Twitter than I do here on the show. So if you're gonna follow me, just kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah, I mean, Rhett told him to pack it up. So.
Oh, dude, I did. Because you and I were texting back and forth, and you're like, 45-7 final score, and I hit you with the 45-3. They're not getting a touchdown in this game. From the early going, it is shocking to any NFL team to be down 17-0. So it's one of those things to say. Everybody was overreacting, but were we really? Because it's not like we hadn't seen this before. Kansas City's the best team in the league, and when you're down 17-0 in a game like that in the first quarter, and Tyreek Hill gets 200 yards in the blink of an eye, well, you're going to overreact maybe a little bit. So let me defend my case and everybody else who was cussing on Twitter. I
thought it was a lock that dude was getting the NFL record for most catching yards.
Yeah,
for most receiving yards in a game.
Romo, they were joking about it in the booth. They're like, "Yep, he's only on pace for 1,000 yards in this one."
Yeah, I mean, so most receiving yards in a game is Flipper Anderson with 336.
Oh, dude, I thought he was going over 450.
Like I said, I thought they were just going to run goes the whole game, and he was just going to catch them every time. That's what I legit thought was going to happen. So 336, and Tyreek Hill had 13 catches for 269. So Kelsey 8 for 82. They contained Kelsey, I thought, decent though.
Yeah, there were a couple of plays. There was one that they had given it to him. It was towards the end of the game.
Yep.
But
So Rhett tweets, way to not use those 3 timeouts. So that was the tweet I was referring to. And then that I didn't have an issue with that. I'm not taking those timeouts before the half. Before we get out of here, though, I have 2 shout outs. One good, one bad.
Let's do it.
The good. I guess I'll start with the good. Shout out to Donovan Smith for gutting it out. He didn't practice one lick this week.
He was in a boot when he showed up today.
He was in a boot when he showed up to the stadium, and Bruce Arians thought he was only going to play a half, and he ended up playing the entire game. So everybody wants to crap on him. But, yeah, shout out to him. I know he technically gave up his 7th sack, even though Wirfs was the one that got beat first. It's just that Donovan's guy got to Brady first, but before Wirfs' guy did, they both met at the quarterback. So everybody will point that out. Everybody wants to be ignorant will point that out. But kudos to him. He didn't have to. He could have said, "Oh yeah, though the plan for me is to play a half. All right, cool." Or he could have showed up and said, "Look, man, I'm still in this boot. I ain't playing." Like, I don't know if I even would have played. I would have been like, "Dude, I'm in this boot for a reason. Like, I am not playing in this football game. With the bye week coming up, I am not playing in this football game, and potentially injuring it more." So, kudos to him. Quick shout out to Donovan Smith and. So speaking of Donovan Smith, Ali Marpet was a little off today, I think.
Yeah, I don't know what I mean. I
think
get
it's rust. I get it. I'll give a pass. Hasn't played in like 4 weeks, so yeah. But he had 2 holding calls. One was called back a Ronald Jones nice run, and another one I forget what it called back, but yeah, it was not uncharacteristic.
The one that I remember in particular, I think it was the Ronald Jones run that got negated, but he was fielding a double team.
Yeah.
And, like, he did a pretty damn good job of fielding that double team. He opened up the lane for Ronald Jones to kind of bump around the left side, and they called it holding on his left hand, which, to be honest with you, I was kind of at the point where it's like, well, what the hell else do you want the guy to do? I personally thought it was a little tic-tacky, but,
he held him. I mean, to me,
there's holding on every play.
Yeah, I know, but he grabbed him. I mean,
no, I
think they're just gonna. So, and my second shout out is a bad shout out. It's an awful shout out. You ready?
I think so.
CBS, you suck.
Ooh.
Okay, you suck.
What did they do to you?
They suck. That's what they did. What time was this game supposed to be on?
4:25 was the kickoff.
Then why did I miss the Chiefs' first drive completely? Because they were airing commercials the whole time.
Are you kidding me? On your end?
Yeah.
So here's what happened to my broadcast was I was watching the Colts game.
Yeah.
It was Colts Titans.
Yep.
And I was watching that, had a little thing jump up on my screen, said due to NFL contract agreements, which was really weird wording for it, but we're going to take you away from this game to go to Buccaneers Chiefs.
Nope.
Okay. Well, 4:25 for me, I go in and I see the broadcast. I see Romo in the booth.
Nope.
Yeah, that's incredible because I have to imagine if it's a region thing, you weren't the only one missing out on that first drive.
No, there was a lot of people. I had tweeted it a lot. I was like, dude, CBS is still. It was 6 minutes. 4:31 is when the game came on.
God damn.
4:31 is when that game came on, and I was even tweeting it. Let's see. I said CBS still. This is at 4:29. I said CBS still has not switched to the Bucs game. I turned CBS on after having Red Zone on. I turned CBS on at like 4:22, and they were showing the Titans Colts game. There was 2 minutes left,
which was a 2-possession game, by the way.
So it's not like they can't.
It's not like they can't pull away from the decided game to make sure you get kickoff on time or anything.
Exactly. Yeah. The game was completely over, and then the Titans started kneeling. Boom. The game went final. It was 4:25 or whatever when the game went final. 4:26. Dude, they ran 4 straight minutes of commercials. They didn't even do any post-game analysis for that game. 4 straight minutes of commercials. I'm following. I didn't see the only play that I saw live with my own eyes. The first play that I saw on that Kansas City drive was the 3rd and goal that they didn't get. That was the first thing I saw.
That's
I didn't see anything. So CBS, awful job by you. Just completely awful job.
Wow. Yeah, I had no idea, but sorry to hear about that, man. That really does suck. And I will say
I tweeted. I said, ladies and gentlemen, CBS has put the game on only 6 minutes after it was supposed to.
Damn, dude. And it's funny because I was watching the pregame and I was watching the end of Titans Colts, and I was like, they really like waiting until last minute to make sure they get the game on. And in my region, they got the game on in time. But, the only good thing about CBS that I prefer over Fox is Tony Romo. The rest of it I can do without. So with that being said, I'm definitely a Fox on NFL guy. Cut away from a game that's decided to do a little bit of pregame. Fuck it. Give me the team running out of the tunnel. You know what I mean? Like, give me something. You don't have to start with kickoff.
It didn't make any sense to me. And I was sitting there and I was like, there's a minute and a half left in this game and it is 4:23. I was like, they are not getting this game done and over to Tampa at 4:25. I was like, what are they doing? And I left the room, came back, it was 4:27. They were playing commercials. I was like, what is going on here? I was like, oh, yeah, Patrick Mahomes to Tyreek Hill for 40 yards on the first play. Would love to see it. I was like, what is happening? I was like, are you kidding me?
Well, that
It's
sucks,
just an
dude.
awful job. And obviously, like I said, 6 minutes afterwards, you missed basically the entire first Chiefs drive. So if you weren't local, you likely missed the entire Chiefs first drive.
Damn, that sucks. I'll tell you what, CBS needs a new program director, and you definitely need to be the guy to fill that hole.
All right, let's do it. Call me up.
Campaign, ladies and gentlemen, call up CBS. Tell them Evan Wanish, the Philly Bucs fan himself. That's how you have to introduce him.
Yeah,
he is going to be their new program
say it
director.
himself too. You have to say it himself. The Philly, you pretty much know him. The Philly Bucs fan himself.
Yeah, the guy,
himself,
the dude,
that dude.
Yeah,
he's the dude.
Folks,
the dude for the job. That's all right.
I think we've just about covered everything that we need to from this Kansas City game. Remember what we talked about at the beginning of the show. 7-5. The ship is not sinking. The Buccaneers are 2 games over 500. And their playoff destiny is still in their hands. They got the bye week coming up. 4-game stretch after that. And dare I say it, a 4-game stretch that, personally, I think if they're the team we want them to be, and I think they're going to be saying this to themselves at $1 over the bye week as well, but I think they have to win out. Like, yeah, 10-6 gets the job done, but you already swept Carolina. I know sweeping division rivals is hard, but I think the Falcons
not to New Orleans
be swept. Not to do, yeah. Oh, god damn it!
I had to throw.
All right. Well, you know what? Forget everything.
I had to.
Forget everything I was saying. That's just not going to do it. Evans pissed me off. I'm mad now.
Quickly, before you give up.
Before you piss me off anymore.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm here for. So, yeah, you're already angry. I'm just here to make it more angry. So basically, let's do a quick rundown here. Just quick. 4 games. What is their record in those 4 games?
Oh, you're asking me right now?
Yeah, right off the top of your head. It could change, but right now, at this time, what is their record in those 4 games?
4-0, baby.
Okay, 3-1 is the right answer, but 4-0.
So you're assuming they lose one of the division games, right?
I think they'll lose to Atlanta once. Yeah.
I'll tell you what'll make it all that more disappointing is if they do win 3 in a row and they lose that final one at home.
Yeah, that would kind of suck.
Oh,
yeah,
dude.
You want to win that last one at home. Yeah.
You make the playoffs and everybody on Twitter is talking about fire the coaches and everything. 10-6 here. God, that was terrible.
Wait, fire the coaches as you're getting ready for a playoff game the next weekend.
Exactly. Folks, we love you. We love rooting for this team, and we love doing this show. So we try to jump on here with a level head and just take an objective look at this football team. I wanted to give a shout, as we're giving a bunch of shout-outs here, I wanted to give a shout to our guy Kevin on YouTube. He commented on our Thanksgiving show, and he's like, I really love the way that you guys take an objective look at this team, and you don't overreact to, outside sources or just anything that you hear outside of the realm of Bucs news. Your first takes, your Stephen A. Smith, just your Max Kellermans, all that BS. Tune out the noise. Listen to your Bucs circle of media this week, and I guarantee you everything will be fine. I think we'll see some adjustments out of the bye week. I think this team's going to put the work in to try and come out better. And me personally, I'd like to believe they go 4-0.
Okie doke. I mean, hey. I mean, yeah. Well, what can I expect more from the internal optimist? I mean, I was shocked. If you go back and look when we do our Kansas City game predictions, and he picked the Chiefs, and I was just shocked.
First time this year that I've picked against the Bucs, so I guess that makes me
even in your season predictions, you picked them to go. You picked them to go 11-5, but in season our predictions, you picked them to win every game. if they were doing like picks or whatever, the Bucs right now are 11-1.
Well, damn it! With the Kansas City game wrapping up the way that it did, I am 8-3 on my picks this year, so I will take it.
I think I was 1 better than you, so I think I'm maybe 9-2.
Oh, okay.
I think maybe.
All right.
I think.
Whatever.
I'm not sure. Wait. There's been 12 games. So how can we be 8-3 and 9-2? That equals 11. You gotta figure that out then.
Okay.
There's
maybe
been 12
I'm
games.
9-3 then. There it is.
I'm not sure. Well, I don't know if I'm 10-2. I think I might be 9-3 and you might be 8-4.
No, I think you're full of it. Somebody, listen, if you've got the time on your hands, because I know I'm not going to do it, if you want to go back and watch the last 10 minutes of every game preview show we've done, get those final scores tallied up, and y'all let me know. But if you don't want to do it, it's a-okay, because like I said, I don't really want to do that either. The fact of the matter is,
Just
the
go do it,
Buccaneers.
please.
What's up?
No, I was just saying to a fan, just go do it. Not necessarily you, Rhett, but
Doesn't matter what our record predictions are. The fact of the matter is the Buccaneers are 7-5 with the bye week ahead and a favorable 4-game stretch to finish things up. Folks, that's just about going to do it for this episode of the Cannon Fire Podcast. Thank you so much for listening on any and all of our podcast outlets, and of course, checking us out with video over on YouTube. And if you haven't already, make sure you click the subscribe button, click that bell icon as well, so you get notified anytime we upload a video, upload a new podcast, go live with the call-in shows, whatever it may be. All the cool-ass content that we've got on our YouTube, you can check it out and get notified with that little bell icon. Follow the show on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those are Cannon Fire Podcast. Best place to get updates on the show, and of course, Buccaneer news as it happens. Speaking of Bucs news as it happens, you can follow my co-host on Instagram at Bucs_daily, the #1 Buccaneers fan page on IG with 25,000 plus followers. And you can also find him on Twitter at EvanNFL, where he doesn't have nearly as many followers, and he will not follow you back. But I'll tell you what, if anybody's feeling generous enough to lob me 10 followers on Twitter this week, I might just hit 1K. There we go, baby. You can check me out on Instagram and Twitter at Rhettakus, Rhettakus. If you follow me, I will follow you back. You're shaking your head. Are you upset because, you didn't play the long game and follow everybody back?
No, I'm fine. I'm good. It's not whatever. When you look at like an Instagram account, and I see this on Instagram the most, I'm like, okay, like, yeah, I have like on my personal account, I have like 300 followers or so. I'm like, okay, like, and somebody says to me, oh, I have more followers than you.
But they follow 7,000 people.
Let's say they have like 600 followers. I'm like, dude, you're following 3,000 people. Like, I'm following 100 less than my follower count. Like, what are you talking about? When you follow 7,000 people, I hope you have 500 people that like you enough to follow you back. Jesus Christmas.
I'll tell you what, if you're following 7,000 people and I am one of them, I will definitely follow you back. Oh, man. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, that's going to wrap this episode up. Thank you for listening. We might do a show Thursday. We might do a show Monday. I don't know. We'll talk about it after the show.
Might not do a show at all.
Yeah, it's the bye week. We might just take the week off and ignore you. But we definitely got something in the works for the bye week. We're going to talk about it once we hit the record button to end this thing. But with all of that said, I am Rhett Matthew, signing off from my good buddy and co-host Evan Wanish. And we will talk to you guys whenever we talk to you. Go Bucs.